Good morning. I'm Zahir Makluis Arprasas, reporting to you live in Moscow. So for today's news, the two new programs have been launched in Oman to spread awareness and conduct research to the impact obesity can have on people's health. The programs involve devising clinical practice guidelines to assess healthcare professionals on how to efficiently and proactively engage in management of obesity, as well as setting up an epidemiology study project to analyze the prevalence of obesity-related commodities in a hospital setting and assess the prevalence of the top 10 commodities linked to obesity in Oman. The two projects were launched at the Ministry of Health, which is running them in collaboration with the Embassy of Denmark at Novo Nordisk Parma Gulf, in the presence of Dr. Ahmed bin Mohammed Al Saidi, Ministry of Health, and Oli Emil Moisby, Ambassador of Denmark to Oman, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Kuwait, and Yemen. The launch was also attended by Dr. Noor Al Busaidi, Director of the National Diabetes and Endocrine Center, Dr. Verkat Kailan, Vice President and General Manager of Novo Nordisk Parma Gulf, and Dr. Amin Magdi, Director of Patient Access and Public Affairs at Novo Nordisk Parma Gulf. The two projects will not only help in great understanding of the epidemic in Oman, but will also provide in healthcare professionals basic guidelines on chronic disease management, drawing attention to the risk in obesity health-related issues worldwide. Al Said said,
I'm delighted that we've launched today Oman Combating Obesity Project in collaboration with the government of Denmark and Novo Nordisk, which is a champion as a company in this field. Unfortunately, obesity is growing worldwide. There are 800 million people at least worldwide who suffer from obesity. Obesity is classified as a disease of its own now, but also it's a contributing factor to 200 other diseases, including cancer. There are 13 types of cancer that obesity is a major factor in. The good thing that obesity and chronic diseases related to it are avoidable. 40% of them can be avoided by modifying our lifestyle, i.e. healthy diet and increasing physical activities. And 80% of these conditions can be reversed also if we follow the instruction of healthcare professionals.
In addition to this, Omani women specifically were identified as having a significantly higher prevalence of obesity than Omani men. Similar findings of alarmingly high levels of obesity among women in their reproductive years were also reported in the Oman National Nutrition Survey. Having been associated with alarming 195 health impairments and a major risk factor in chronic diseases like cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and a virus type of cancer, obesity is fast becoming one of the most serious health problems in the world. The Governorate of Dhofar has played host to over 10,000 tourists who visited the land of frankincense in the past 2 months. According to statistics received from the Department of Frankincense land sites in the General Directorate of Heritage and Tourism in the Governorate of Dhofar, the number of visitors to the land of frankincense sites in the Governorate of Dhofar during the months of January and February of this year has reached 10,295. In addition, the numbers showed that the number of visitors to the Al-Balid Archaeological Park and the Museum of Frankincense Land since the beginning of this year has amounted to 4,790, while the number of visitors to Samar Haman Archaeological Park reached 2,366, and the number of visitors to the archaeological site of Wabar has reached 3,139. Well, the United Nations Security Council has held another emergency session today with Russia making unsupported claims that Ukraine is developing chemical weapons. Earlier, the Russia delegate was speaking and brandished some images relating to the airstrike on the maternity hospital in Mariupol.
Fighters, the radicals, converted that building into an attack base. This is something that we warned about even then. Apparently you don't listen or you don't hear what it is that we say. Did you see the photos of the allegedly destroyed maternity hospital, the building of the hospital destroyed by a bomb? What you can see there is a building without windows, but it's not destroyed. Here are the photos. Can you imagine what would have happened to a building if it underwent a bomb strike or shelling, as well as to those who were inside the building? What would have happened to it? So we have the videos from inside the building. Here they are. And they show that there is disorder or returned furniture and untouched, intact chairs. Once again, can you imagine what kind of destruction would have remained in the wake of a building hit by a rocket or a bomb?
Well, at the meeting, both the US Representative Linda Thomas-Greenfield and the UK Representative Dame Barbara Woodward reiterated their belief that Russia was using these unconfirmed claims as an excuse to launch a chemical weapon attack in Ukraine.
I will say this once. Ukraine does not have a biological weapons program. There are no Ukrainian biological weapons laboratories supported by the United States. We have serious concerns that Russia may be planning to use chemical or biological agents against the Ukrainian people. The intent behind these lies seem clear, and it is deeply troubling.
Russia has today brought into the Security Council a series of wild, completely baseless, and irresponsible conspiracy theories. Let me put it diplomatically. They are utter nonsense.
Our US correspondent Greg Millen is in Washington for us. Greg, another UN meeting will say lots of talking, lots of discussions, but actually, is there any action?
Well, this was a meeting called by Russia, and in many respects, it's what the UK and the US has been warning Russia would do for a number of days. The Prime Minister yesterday, of course, speaking to Sky News about this suggestion that Russia would allege that the US and Ukraine were developing biological weapons, dismissing, as you heard there, dismissing that as the truth, but saying Russia would use that as a pretext to carry out a chemical weapons attack of its own. And the US ambassador there saying that even holding this meeting was in many ways a false flag, a pretext that Russia was trying to create to justify whatever they might do, and saying that it's Russia that has the well-documented history of using chemical weapons, supporting President Assad in Syria and his use of chemical weapons. They have a biological program, the US says, that violates international law. And these allegations from Russia have been around for a long time, but they really ramped up in the days before the invasion to create that pretext. The question is, what will the West do about it? Joe Biden was speaking earlier today, unveiling some new sanctions. He said if chemical weapons were used, there will be a severe price for Russia, but we don't know what that is. And remember, he was vice president when Barack Obama talked about red lines over chemical weapons in Syria, and they didn't take the action that people expected.
Washington, thank you. A Ukrainian punk band has released a reworked cover version of The Clash London Calling, turning the 1979 hit into an anti-Russian anthem. Kiev Calling, by the band known as Beton, is a rallying cry for global support of the Ukrainian resistance during the Russian invasion. The video posted on YouTube aims to raise money for the Free Ukrainian Resistance movement. The song speaks to Russians about government propaganda in which members of Beton have said that The Clash inspired them to become musicians. The Clash has retweeted Beton's new video and will donate royalties to the movement's efforts. The new version, produced by Danny Saber, who has worked with bands ranging from Madonna to the Rolling Stones, he was one of the last producers to work with The Clash, Joe Strummer, before Strummer's death in 2002. Thank you for watching, and again, this is Zahir Presas reporting for more latest news and updates.